When you come out gay, you get to be one of two kinds. You either get to be good at math or you can drive. Those are your options. I am an excellent driver. So when I tell you that we're in a season of counting, know very deeply, as much as I aspire to be a gay that can count, I am not there yet. Every year, I get my little Omer tarot deck, and I join all the signal chats with all the hundreds of other gays that can count, and I'm gonna count every night. I'm going to say the blessing every night. I'm gonna count every night. I'm gonna know each day by name, Chesed, Begevura, Yesod, Tiferet. This is my year. It's not my year. This is not my year. Last year was not my year. Next year, very likely not my year. But here we are on this 49-day epic counting journey, the counting of the Omer, which began during Passover, marking the Israelites' journey from Mitzrayim, the narrow place under the rule of Pharaoh, to Sinai, from liberation to revelation. And as we cycle through our Torah, our readings and holidays, we meet tonight in the Parsha and the book of Bamidbar, the wilderness. It's my favorite. You guys were here. You know I love the desert. This is my jam. This Parsha is almost always read right before Shavuot, which is the holiday where we receive our wisdom as a Jewish people, the Torah. The beginning of this is that we are year 2 of the Israelites' journey. Some people think that is a very long time already to be journeying away from their home. As someone that's about to leave my home for the first time in 24 years, I don't think by year 2 I will have any sense of what is happening. So this is where the Israelites are. They're still figuring out who they are, what they just experienced, where they just came from, and who they are to each other. And as a people, they are beginning their identity formation. And part of identifying who you are as a people is knowing who's in the room, which is what I asked you to do earlier, was to say hello to someone to find out who's in this room. And in order to do that, God tells Moshe to take a census. Let's do some counting. We needed to see who was here. And so the Parsha opens up, Sehu et Rosh Kol Adat B'nai Yisrael. Lift the head of the entire congregation of the children of Yisrael. This is the Jewish version of counting. Maybe if that was my version of counting, I'd be much better at it. And so we start counting the Israelite people, but this is also how the book of Bamidbar ends, in a second census. So there's this hint that there's some continuity of who we are at the beginning of the book and who we are at the end, some sort of unity of people. But if you read the rest of the book of Bamidbar, there's a lot of disagreements. There's a lot of arguments. There's one rebellion that ends very poorly. There's a whole lot of dissent. It is every organizer's dream. These people, the Israelites, they have seen miracles. They've been taken out of slavery by God. But they have some opinions about this desert thing that they're doing. One of the Hebrew words that's used to describe what the Israelites are doing in this journey as they aimlessly walk towards an unknown destination is anan, which sometimes translates as they were complaining. They're in the desert. There's no water. They don't like Moshe's leadership style or the community's power structure or the battles they're in, and. They got a lot of things to say. I almost wish as an activist and an organizer, I'm not immune to being told I complain. It's a word levied against many of those who question the status quo and push against the things that are happening that we see as an unjust. It's meant to belittle any dissenting voice, perpetuating silence so as not to be the problem. It's just easier this way. Someone else will surely speak up and say something about that situation. After all, everyone else in the desert also doesn't have water, and everyone else is sick of this manna that they've been eating. And everyone else is also pretty iffy on this whole who's in charge thing, so someone else is going to lift up their head to be counted. I don't have to be the person that complains. Just a few weeks ago, buried in an endless litany of bad news bears news cycles, the Supreme Court ruled on a case that significantly weakened the voting rights of 1965. And there were so many things going on that it barely made a blip, even in the activist worlds that I live and work in. There's so much going on. But what this court ruling did was rule that Louisiana, who made a map in 2024, which created only a second majority black district to remedy the racial dilution that has happened already, they voted that it was unconstitutional racial gerrymandering. And so even though Louisiana had already begun early voting in their primary, people were already voting, the state redistricted in the middle. So people no longer knew what district they were voting in. They redistricted, and so now, in a state with over a 35% black population, more census numbers, they only have one majority black district. And it's not just Louisiana. Alabama, Mississippi, Florida have passed or are passing new maps that silence black voters, and in some states like Tennessee, leave them without any effective congressional representation. As one scholar noted, this decision will bleach the halls of Congress. And those that are actively protesting this, including elected representatives in those states, are being told that they're complaining, that it's not that bad, that they're overreacting. This is how politics work. Stop complaining. There's a little trick in Hebrew that many roots can mean many things. And this root, anan, that the Israelites were doing in the wilderness, it also means oppress or wrong. Are the Israelites complaining, or are they naming the oppression in their lives? The same crying out they did in Mitzrayim that God heard and led to their liberation is the same thing they're doing in Bamidbar. They don't like the manna, they get birds to eat. There's no water, it comes from a rock. When they speak from this place of Anan, they can change their reality. In this same book of Bamidbar, the daughters of Zelophehad challenge Moshe and ask how it's possible that they are not counted for inheritance simply because they did not have male siblings. Where would their inheritance go just because they were all women? Why should their family, which differs from the communal norm, not be included, not be counted? Ultimately, the daughters win that argument against the communal norm, and they are allowed to receive their own inheritance. In Bamidbar, in the wilderness, the people have new vision to see what their individual role is inside the communal structure, and that their actions can tip the scales of merit for the world to endure. In his mystical ethical work, you guys knew I was going to take it there, right? Rabbi Isaiah Horowitz, known as the Shalah, looks at this counting and says that it is communal, it is Klal Yisrael, but also it's about each individual. Everyone should become aware of his personal value by having been counted. He was encouraged to think that everything depended on his personal activity and contribution. Our sages teach that a person should always consider himself as if mankind's merits and demerits were in perfect balance, and our very next action would tilt the scales, giving him a chance to determine the world's fate. A single good deed by any one person will enable the world to endure. No pressure. Amidst all of this chaos with the Supreme Court, just a few days ago, all 24 Democratic state representatives in Tennessee were stripped of their committee seats and duties because they complained. They linked arms in the hall. They blocked the, what is this? Aisle, thank you. These terrible things these people are doing strip them of their duties as elected state representatives because they were complaining. Representative Justin Pearson commented that, "I always wondered what happened to the hatred that would hang someone atop a tree and throw a picnic, and that hatred may not show up in that same way, but it didn't get destroyed. It dissipated into institutions of power." Anan is complaining or oppression. I'm curious what we do with these words and what we do with our ability to tilt the scales if we believe that any one of our actions can actually make a difference. The Hasidic master, Rabbi Nachman, who you know I'm a big fan of, teaches that every shepherd has his own special tune according to where he grazes. Why is that important? Justin Pearson, who is a Black elected official whose district was redistricted in Tennessee, declared he was going to run anyway, despite their district being in chaos. He said, "You can try to change the game, but you can't change the tune." According to Rabbi Nachman, every special grass, every blade of grass has its own tune. Every animal has a specific grass which it needs to eat, and every one of those animals sings its own tune. And up and up and up, each one of us has our own tune. Each and every Israelite is counted. Each and every voice is heard. It is only from the individual song of the individual grasses that the shepherd can make a melody. Each grass and each of us is a Niggun. It's a tune. It's needed to make the larger tune of the shepherd. And there's not a hierarchy amongst the grasses. We play here, and sometimes it's just drums, and sometimes it's just the trumpet, and sometimes it's just the guitar, but there's still a melody. But in the Bamidbar, in the wilderness, if one blade of grass is silent, if one blade of grass loses its tune, the community is weakened and the melody is gone. The song stops. Yesterday marked Flag Day in Jerusalem, which was met with clashes and protests erupting from nationalists marching through Jerusalem, spewing anti-Arab hatred and supremacist ideology. Sometimes the blades of grass that can silence a song might be our own. Today is known as Nakba Day, a day that internationally commemorates the forced displacement of Palestinians during the creation of the State of Israel. These 2 days are not coincidentally next to each other. Our job as the shepherds of this field, if we are to act as though our very next action could tilt the scales of merit for the world to endure, is to make sure each blade of grass with songs that have been silenced are not only counted, but woven into the melody and the chorus. It's not always easy. It creates and takes community to listen to each one of those blades of grass and find out what their tune is, weaving it into the song. May we learn to weave the melody of each blade of grass, from Tennessee to the Boundary Waters, from the songs of our immigrant neighbors as they get released from Adelanto, to the songs of Gazans still suffering starvation. And may each action of our weaving tilt the scales of justice and lift all of us out of the wilderness and into revelation. Shabbat shalom.
to try singing that with us?
In the spirit of counting, we are going to count the Omer now in this space of moving from our liberation to revelation as we weave our songs together. That was a beautiful weaving. Thank you.
הנני מוכן ומזומן לקיים מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר שכתוב בתורה וספרתם לכם ומאה את אביכם את העומר התנופה 7 שבתות תמימות תהיינה עד מחרת השבת השביעית תספרו 50 יום ברוך אתה אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קדישנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר היום 440 יום שהם 6 שבועות ושני ימים לעומר. Thank you.
Today is 40 days of the Omer, which is 6 weeks and 2 days. We are entering into Gevura Shebemalchut, boundaries and strong holding of rooting deep.
Yo